Have you ever felt that spark with someone before a single word was even spoken? Well, we're about to decode that silent language. We're talking about the powerful signals our nervous systems send out long before our mouths even get a chance to catch up.
You know, most of us, we're trained to wait for that obvious green light, right? That clear verbal cue that says, hey, I'm interested. But what if I told you that by waiting for the words, you might be missing the real connection entirely? Because by the time words are actually exchanged, that powerful psychological moment of attraction, it's often already come and gone. The real spark, that genuine connection, it happens on a much deeper, nonverbal level. And this is where a skill called high emotional attunement comes into play. Think of it like tuning an old-school radio. You're learning to pick up on the subtle frequencies of another person's nervous system, sensing those tiny, almost invisible shifts in their body and their energy that tell you a genuine connection is forming. So how does this even happen? Well, the science here is pretty fascinating. Our brains are hardwired with something called mirror neurons. And when we feel a connection, these neurons fire up, causing us to subconsciously align or sync with the other person. It's like our nervous systems are literally getting on the same wavelength. So let's look at 5 really specific signs that this is happening.
All right, the first sign is a really cool concept.
It's called the emotional orbit. And the idea here is that when there's a real connection, the other person's entire emotional gravity, their whole presence, starts to subtly shift and orient itself toward you.
So what does that actually look like in the real world? Well, her body will subconsciously start to orbit your energy. As those mirror neurons we just talked about kick in and sync up with your vibe, you might notice she's physically, almost magnetically drawn closer.
Now, as that connection starts to build, we see our second sign pop up.
And that is when logic fades. This is that really fascinating moment where you can literally see raw feelings start to overtake structured logical thinking.
Psychologists call this a breakdown in cognitive restraint. But put simply, if you notice she's laughing just a little too easily or reacting instantly to what you say without any filter, that's a huge sign. It means her emotional brain is basically taking the driver's seat from her logical one.
Okay, sign number 3. This one is all in the eyes.
We call this a vivid gaze. This is when you notice her eyes aren't just looking at you, it feels like they're revealing this really rich, active inner world.
And this is actually tied to a psychological concept called counterfactual thinking. That deep, engaged gaze, it's not just passive listening, it's a powerful sign that her mind is actively playing out future possibilities with you. She's not just in the moment, she's already picturing what could be.
Our 4th signal is probably one you've heard of, but trust me, it's incredibly powerful when you see it in action.
It's the mirror effect, and it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Her body starts to subconsciously reflect or mirror your own.
So if you lean in and she leans in, or you cross your legs and notice a moment later she does the same thing, that's rarely a coincidence. It is a profound psychological signal that her nervous system feels safe with yours, and her subconscious is literally building a bridge of authentic connection.
And that brings us right to our 5th and final sign, which honestly pulls everything else together. It's simple. In a room full of distractions, you're the focus. You become her clear, number 1 priority.
And you can see the difference so clearly here. On one side, you've got your standard surface-level small talk. Attention is kind of divided, scattered around. But on the other, when that authentic connection is there, her focus, her posture, her entire being is oriented toward you. You become the center point, even in a crowded room.
So let's just quickly recap this whole pattern. First, there's the emotional orbit. Then, the moment logic fades. That's followed by a vivid gaze, the unconscious mirror effect, and finally, when you're the focus. When you start to see these signs together, they're not just random behaviors. They're painting this powerful picture of a real, subconscious connection taking root. Look, at the end of the day, this isn't about learning a few tricks to read people. It's about something so much deeper than that. It's about learning to recognize the silent, invisible architecture of a genuine human connection as it's being built moment by moment.
So the question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know how to see these signals, how is that going to change the way you connect? How will you shift from just listening to words to truly tuning in to the silent energy that flows between you and another person?